Hello, everybody, and welcome to What's the Story podcast. This is WTS 326. My name is Danny Murray.
Hi, Danny. I'm Graham Errigan. How are you?
I'm good, Graham Errigan. Thanks very much. I don't know why I decided to do that, like with some sort of game show intro or sort of. No,
It's because you've had a bit of caffeine there.
bit of caffeine, yeah, a bit of caffeine into me. I started drinking that at 7:30 in the evening. So,
Will you sleep tonight now, Don, with that?
I certainly hope so, Graham. I certainly there may be a medical intervention to try it.
Bit of melatonin.
No Melly. Might drop a Melly. That's how you know life is wild and you're in your late 30s. You're on the melatonin to get you to sleep.
Or a bit of magnesium.
Yeah, people have said I haven't tried the magnesium yet now, but people.
I tried it years ago. Yeah, definitely kind of gets you ready and relaxed for sleep.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of those things are a bit faddish though. Like there was one going around there years ago where like you could buy these water bottles that had a built-in charcoal filter and all this. I was like,
stop.
Fuck off.
How is that going to get you to sleep?
Oh no, not necessarily get you to sleep, but just like, other health benefits of passing it through charcoal filter, blah, 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 blah. I was like, just let me drink my bottle of Volvic and piss off, will you?
The health fads are crazy, aren't they?
They're mental. They're absolutely mental. I see the one that's going on at the moment, or it may have been around a while, but it seems like every fucking coffee shop or whatever in the world is now doing these acai bowls.
Oh yeah.
Is it just granola and stuff?
They're around the years, Danny.
Yeah, but they seem to be like now they're like this thing where like you.
It's just I think personally it's like fancy porridge.
Yeah, that's like I don't know. Cubes got one there a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at it. I was like, it's like
I think it's Brazilian.
It's layered like a trifle. I don't understand. Like, what's the appeal?
Yeah, it's like a posh trifle or a posh porridge. I actually never had one, to be honest.
No, same. And I won't. I'm protesting.
But all of them, you have to add Nutella to make them fucking edible.
That's the problem with porridge, I find. If you don't add honey to it or you don't add Nutella to it, it's a pile of shite.
Yeah. I have porridge now with Biscoff crunchy and crunchy spread and Nutella and a banana.
You see, that's decadent.
Yeah. It goes down great now in a cold morning, to be honest.
Yeah. Is it the Ready Brek you're on, is it?
No, the Flavins.
Very good.
Although if there's none of that, I will go into my niece's Ready Brek.
Very good.
And Rob Horse. But she does eat in the evening some porridge with a banana mix and a bit of honey. And then she relaxes and goes to sleep.
Love it.
Shout out to Edie Amaro.
Indeed. I saw a great video of her rocking out to Cult of Personality there recently.
Yeah. She does the yeet.
Does she eat? Does she?
She eats away the J-Uso.
It's just me, ooze. It's a banger, man. Yeah. So, anyway, Mero.
Yes.
This week we have a return guest. Shall we get to it?
Yeah, let's get to it. Who are we talking to this week, Dan?
We're talking to the brilliant Manchester's own John Ludden. And I'm delighted to say, after I think it was about 2 years ago, John first joined us on the podcast. But delighted to say that author and I'm going to say Manchester United Encyclopedia. I'm going to say John Ludden has joined us once again for a chat. John, how have you been, mate? It's been a minute.
Aye, Dan, I've been good, mate. I've been good. I've been really busy, just keeping going.
You've some amount of books to pump out, John. So I'm not surprised to hear you're busy.
Constantly pumping out books, John. What's the story?
The thing is, it's like I can't do nothing else now. You know what I mean? I'm too old. I'm unemployable. So, and the thing is, when the bills come through the door, do you know what I mean? It's the greatest incentive to think, get another one done. I've got 14 United books in the top 100 at the moment.
Unreal.
And I've got a few bubbling under. I mean, the plan is just to flood it, and then if you can get one on every line, when someone's looking for something else, they might just see mine and just.
That's it. Well, I mean, tell people, right? We'll get into it, and we'll get into your latest one as well, which covers United through the 60s. But tell us, tell us where people can go and get them for both United fans and people who need an education in football because they support some other shower.
If just Google me in Amazon,
Love
just
it.
Google my name, Amazon, and they'll come up. You get in there and it's just page after page after page after page of just. I mean, it's not just United books. I mean, like I said before, it's been a case
Maradona.
of, yeah, it's like we were just saying there, the worse we get, the better they sell.
Yeah,
Relegation for me is like winning the lottery. You know, it's like tonight. I mean, it's Everton Liverpool tonight, and
it is. Yeah,
in a normal world, lads, you want Everton. I want Everton to win tonight. I don't want to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's too close down
murky
there,
water,
Graham.
isn't it? Murky water. That well, if Everton win tonight, they jump United, don't they, in the table? So
You come close.
for 13th, we're talking about jumping for 13th. Like it's. But
Danny,
anyway,
sorry, what's even better? On Sunday, we've got Spurs.
I
Which
know.
I christen that old my beer derby because we think we're bad, then they do something, then it just keeps repeating itself.
It's
It's
desperate. It's
nuts, isn't
desperate
it?
altogether.
Oh,
John, when you're kind of picking so you've say you've 14 books, 14 United books in the top 100. So when you're picking the subject or the matter,
yeah.
do you get your information in the local libraries or historians, or do you just know it yourself?
I've see this wardrobe behind me.
Yeah,
This is will kill me here. Two of them are just full of books. Are just books, and
yeah,
there's the obviously there's the internet, and I just love it, Graham. I just love the history of it. And it's weird these days because to a lot of United fans, cancer ancient history. When as time goes by, you forget. So, like, if I'm writing about the Busby Babes, which was 67 years ago, I think this year, the crash, that's just Roman times, to kids today. So I just think it's great that you can get these stories out and then, you write about you write about, I mean, I've got one at the moment called Walking Down the Warwick Road. It's like a selection of United games between 56, 69, which kind of stretches from when the Babes started, then the crash, then the comeback, they win the European Cup, and then it ends like 1969, where they play in the World Club Championship to Estudiantes,
Hmm.
and that finishes. I've got, believe it or not, as a shot. I've got part two to come out, which covers from 1970 to the present day. But people tend to forget we were relegated, Danny, 6 years after Munich. So we
Yeah.
know how to get relegated. You know what I mean? We got form. So nothing's impossible.
No, absolutely not.
No.
Absolutely not. And the latest one that you have then the Walking Down Warwick Road. So that, as you said, covers off that period of the Busby Babes.
Yeah.
And recently, obviously, the passing of Denis Law. Um, probably makes it a little bit more poignant. But tell us a little bit then, maybe of sort of how Denis features in this book.
Well, I've actually done a book on Dennis.
The lawman, yeah.
Yeah, I did because I've done so much on United. I thought I'm going to release a selection of writing on the players that have done, just put them all together. And Dennis, God bless him, I brought it out just a week before he passed. But he's loved by, yourself. Like that. He's absolutely adored by, I mean, they're going about Cantona being king of the Stretford end. He's not king of the Stretford end. You just look. You try that argument with, United fans of certain vintage, and you've not got a cat in hell's chance. And I mean, he started off at City. Sorry, he started off at Huddersfield. Then he went to City. Then he went to Torino. Had 1 year in Torino, and they adore him over there, just for that one season. And then United signed him. Busby signed him because he didn't really work out over there. He had a bad time. I mean, he fell out with his coach so bad. There was a game in Naples towards the end of the season. And at that time, it's probably similar now. In Italy, if you're told to stay in your position, you stay in your position. You don't move 10 yards. So Dennis was a centre forward. But he fell out with the coach. Big style. He just wasn't talking. So he's out to wind him up. He's out to line up. So Dennis is moving to the left wing, he's moving to the right wing, and all the time the coach on the touchline is having kittens, he's having Italian kittens. And in the end, he shouts over a Napoli defender and he's telling him, go and kick him. His own player. That's how bad it got towards the end. And they were playing at the end of the season.
Football, isn't it?
Oh, it's bonkers, that, isn't it? It's bonkers, Graham. At the end of the season, they were playing in a tournament in Switzerland where United was playing, Torino was playing, and Busby got in his ear. And, come to United and come to United. And United ended up paying up a record fee for, I think it was 110,000 quid to get him to United. So he comes to United in the early 60s, and you've got Dennis has signed, Bobby Charlton's already there, and you've got your George coming up, as a kid. So that's when the best Law and Charlton in the early 60s came in to fruition. And then Dennis leaves United after 10 years, goes to City, and then I know, and then you couldn't write it. You just couldn't write it. Well, I did the book from the stars. He being such a sado. And the last line in it is it's like a novel, and Dennis is saying we know that didn't put us down, don't we, Dan? But we're already down in it. My God, what have I done? You know what I mean? Because that was his last kick in league football. That never played again.
The footage of Law scoring that goal for City against United, he just looks so depressed.
Yeah, it's just, it always gets me when you have the City players coming up to you like, come on, Dennis, smile, you know what I mean? And he just wasn't having it. He just wasn't having it. And even the goal, it's a beautiful back flick, but he was like, that could have gone anywhere. Do you know what I mean? Stepney stood there, bang, and it's in the net. But it was written. I think something about United is just, it's not a big-headed stuff. It's like a Hollywood football club. They don't do things by half measures.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
that's, and that period that's covered in the book is probably the most Hollywood story imaginable. It's the tragedy and the comeback, the triumph that follows the tragedy and all that kind of thing. It's, that entire period, and obviously the Munich air disaster is something that, any United fan will know of and will have been told about and will have read about and all that kind of stuff. But there's so much more to that period. The air disaster and the comeback, obviously, the final.
It was only 16 years, Dan, since from the crash to getting relegated. In a way, I don't think they got over that crash. I think that the thing was to win the European Cup, and then everybody switched off. I think Busby and everyone switched off, and apart from George, who just was at the peak of his career. And
it was 69 Busby left wasn't it?
Yeah, he left. He retired. He didn't retire though. That was the problem. He gave the job to Wilf McGuinness, who was one of the coaches who'd been at United since Munich. But he was always there, and the players were still going to Busby. He wouldn't let him buy anybody. He just wanted. He was always a club man, Graham, Sir Matt. But I think when he actually, he left that role, it was power control. Power. It was all about power. He didn't want to lose the power.
Yeah.
Because it's like a drug.
Were you ever in the company of Matt Busby?
No. But I know a good friend of mine used to drive him round in the 80s. He was going. I think he was going out with his niece as well at the time, and Nicky got to know him really, really well, and he said he was just a wonderful old man.
Yeah.
At the time, but I think
there's a book in that, John.
Do you know what? You don't believe this.
Driving Matt Busby.
We've done it.
Oh.
My United Road. It was called. It was my mate Nicky's story. He played for United. But he never really made it, and it's just a story of his life. And part of that is the Busby thing. Do you know there's a story in that book? Again, one of your lads, Harry Gregg. Few people don't know that when Sir Matt, the night before the funeral, he had the open casket, and it was at his daughter's. The casket was at his daughter's house. Harry Gregg knocked on late on, and he spent the entire night next door to the casket having a whiskey, just talking to Busby. And that story, we only found out that story when we was researching the book, and we had to check with his daughter, would it be okay to use it? And she said, yeah, fine, but nobody knew that story. No, Harry
Yeah.
Gregg spent a full
Incredible.
night at the.
Harry Gregg is a fascinating character in himself. Like his story and everything throughout his career is brilliant. But the, the the book then, as you said, it's kind of focused on some of the matches, like your favorite matches, I suppose, from that period, John, is it? And then give us
Uh,
a couple of them there that you think will get people harking back for the nostalgia.
yeah, when we was in the European Cup, you remember that?
Those days long gone.
There was an early game against Athletic Bilbao. I think it was 56, 57. They was a great team. They beat Real Madrid with Di Stefano and Puskas to win the Spanish league. So that's how good they were. And United drew them in the quarterfinals. And we got battered 5-2 in Bilbao. Absolutely battered. Well, it was 5-2 and in the last minute. Another one of your guys, Liam Billy Whelan, scored the last minute goal. Beautiful goal if you ever see it. Made it 5-3. So it meant they were coming to Manchester and we still had a chance. So they come to Manchester and we were playing at Main Road at the time because Old Trafford, they were still developing the floodlights. Come a long way, haven't we? With Old Trafford. And they were they turned up in Manchester and they were so confident. Dalchet, the manager, come through the airport on a couple of the journeys, grabbed him and he says, what's the chances of United beating you? And he just went like that. And he says, no team can beat the Basque by 3 goals. And United battered them 3-0. Knocked them out, beaten 3. And that night, that was the 6th of February, 1957, exactly 12 months to the Munich air crash. So that was one game that they got to the semi-final and they played Real Madrid. This was the team of Di Stefano, Hento, the legendary side. And we got battered over there 3-1 and it could have been more. But when we played them over here, it was the first game at Old Trafford under floodlights. We got 2-2 draw and we were killing them second half. But at the end of the game, their president, Santiago Bernabeu, he offered Busby the job to coach at Madrid, and Busby turned it down. He said, no, my heaven is in Manchester. I don't know what he'd been drinking that night, but that's what he said. He was in love with it. He didn't want to go. And another thing, that first leg, this is the class of Madrid. They give every United player a solid gold watch.
What?
And yeah, solid gold watch. All the players and the backroom staff, they all got a solid gold watch. That was the class of him.
I can't imagine that was a cheap gift in the
Yeah, back
50s.
then as well.
Yeah. So you can, and the one player who loved it more than any of the others was Duncan Edwards, because he survived the crash. Duncan, he died. I think it was 13 days later,
Yeah.
21st of Feb. And while he'd lost his watch in the crash. And he kept screaming out for a watch. He kept screaming out. He said, what's happened to me watch? They robbed me watch. So the Germans sent someone back to the crash site and they found the watch. So they brought the watch in and just for a while, it kind of calmed him down. But obviously, he's too badly injured. He passed on that. But after the crash, Bernabeu and the president, Busby, they got really close. They got really close and they offered all the United families free holidays in Madrid, who'd been affected by the crash. They offered to use all the training facilities, what they had, the injured players to get better. But what they also did, lads, they offered, Madrid charged 12 grand for a friendly game, because they was like the Island Globetrotters. They could go anywhere, charge what they want. And Busby said to him, because he wanted to keep in touch with European football, because he knew he wasn't going to get close to it for a long time. And he said to Bernabeu, he says, is there any chance we could agree a deal where we play you once every season just to stay in touch and we'll sort the money out. Do it, we'll owe you the money. Because United wasn't insured for Munich, so they were skint. They were literally skint. The money for Denis Law come from a bucket, a friend of Busby's. Bernabeu turned round and he said, don't worry about the money. Just pay us what you can afford.
Wow. Yeah.
And we played them.
How come they weren't insured, John?
It was just one of them things, Graham. It was just one of the things. They nearly chained the doors at United. It was only Jimmy Murphy kicking up hell that he taught the board into, no, you're not chaining the doors, we got to go on. But the
Mm.
following 4 or 5 years, United played Real Madrid 5 times in friendlies. And the first one was the year after Munich. They turned up, but they didn't just have Di Stefano and Ento. By then they signed Puskas. And they had the great Brazilian Didi, the captain of the 58 World Cup winning team. So they come to Old Trafford and they were just like, it's one of the first games that was televised live on Granada TV. Anyway, they smashed United 6-1. They tore them apart. But it was like Red Ghost because the United team from 2 years ago would have had a chance. The new team, it was just like, just couldn't get near.
Yeah, at least that's I never realized the relationship between Busby and
Neither
Bernabeu.
did I, yeah.
That's
Well,
yeah,
we got there in '68. Danny, we drew them in the semi-final. It was
yeah,
incredible. The team United had to beat to get to the European Cup final was the team that more than anybody else helped him, after Munich.
yeah.
So the first leg, we beat them 1-0 at Old Trafford. Georgie scores. We go over there, and it's a 3-3 draw, and it's a battle. It's an absolute savage battle. But United get through. They go through three. It's 3-3 on the night, and Bill Foltz scores the goal that sends them through. You're a Munich survivor.
Hmm.
And after the game, Bernabeu's just turned around and he said, if it had to be anyone, I'm glad it was them. And then when we won the cup, Benfica, the first telegraph in the United changing room was from Madrid off him. Congratulations from your friends in Madrid.
Amazing.
Astonishing story.
Yeah, really is. It really is. You mentioned
And then Fergie says we won't sell him a virus. Do you remember that 40 years later? Cheers, Sir Alex.
yeah,
You were
well,
right all in that one.
I was going to say, yeah, well, he ended up selling a few of them anyway. But
Yeah.
you you mentioned Jimmy Murphy there. Tell us a little bit about him because he was such a central figure then to the rebuild.
Yeah, Jimmy was. I personally think the stadium should be called the Jimmy Murphy Stadium because United wouldn't be where they are. They wouldn't where they are today, but you know what I mean. They wouldn't. There's a possibility they would have chained the gates because Jimmy just
Mm.
wasn't. He wasn't having it. Jimmy trained the lads. There was him and a couple of Bert Wally, and these were the lads on the train. These did the hard work, on the training pitch. They brought the Busby Babes who they taught them how to be United players. Play to win. What was it? Play hard, play fair, but win. That's
Mm.
what he used to say to him. And that was his motto. And it would be a case of like they get the players through, but Busby, like a cake. Imagine a cake. These was like Busby was the top thing on the cake, on the wedding cake. These lads were underneath bringing them through. So, but Jimmy was like, it was just magical for United. It was absolutely magical. I'm lucky to be friends with the family. And his son Nicky told me stuff about what happened. He remembers Duncan Edwards at their house, stuff like that as a kid, staying there. And it's like Jimmy didn't go to Munich because he was managing Wales.
And famously qualified for the '58 World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they were playing Israel in Cardiff in a second of a two-legged thing. So Busby, he still wanted to go to Munich, but Busby said no, because if anything happens in Cardiff, you'll never forgive yourself. God forbid. So Jimmy didn't go. And Bert Wally, who was another one of the trainers, he sat next to Busby on the plane. Because Busby wasn't well as well. He'd had an operation on his legs and he was really... But Wally was killed. Wally was killed outright in the crash. So it's like someone was looking after Jimmy in a way. But Nicky told us a story. The Israelis, after the game, they gave Jimmy a big box of oranges. Fresh oranges. Oh, he brings them back to Manchester after the game, and that's when he finds out about 4 o'clock on the. He gets into Manchester, he gets to the ground, and they tell him there's been a crash. We don't know how many's dead or alive. But he still had these bloody oranges on him. So at the end of the night, when it's all come out, who's died, who's alive, he finally gets home about 4 o'clock in the morning. He's still got these oranges, and he just says to his missus, he said, just get rid of these. So she just puts them under the stairs, and they forget about them. Totally forget about because there's that much going on. And for months and months afterwards, the kids and everyone, they could smell oranges and no one knew where the smell was coming from. And it's just, he said his dad never, he could never touch an orange again, you know what I mean? Because the smell of it reminded him of everything that had gone on. You know, just them little things,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Incredible.
amazing time,
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing time. United were lucky to have him, but then again, it all goes sour because Busby comes back from Munich. He's probably got, oh, what was it they call it, lads? You know, when they come home from the war and they've still got,
Post-traumatic stress.
yeah, they
Yeah,
probably still had just stuff like that going on. Well, him and Jimmy were never the same.
yeah,
They
yeah,
were never really the same. They kind of fell out, and Jimmy could never understand it. He said he kind of shut him off. But it was probably because he looked at Jimmy and he saw what was for the
yeah.
crash, you know. And it's terrible how they finished Jimmy because United just wanted him out the door at the end. It's a bit like today's characters.
I was just gonna say you were kind of saying there that the stadium should be named after Jimmy Murphy, but with the current with Ineos now in charge, there's no way they'd name a stadium after someone like that.
no, no. It took him, they only did a put statue up with Jimmy Graham 2 years ago. The family was trying to get a
Just
statue for years because they tried to write him a little bit out of history. I think he was a bit embarrassed because the way they got rid of him, like Jimmy lived in Charlton, never drove. So United put a taxi up for him. And then one day in the early 70s, when they wanted him out, this is probably Busby, they just stopped the taxi. Stop the taxi. You know, make it harder for him to get in. They got formalists like, haven't they? So what Jimmy did, he said, right, I'll get the train. And luckily at Charlton railway station, the lads who ran it were all United fans. So Jimmy just go to the station on the train, Jim. On you going, you're not having money off you. You get the train in the same way coming on. But I
Yeah,
always think
that's
you have to separate the legend from reality with anything, but especially football.
yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, they didn't have social media, obviously, in them days, but they had the ways of trying to, glory, glory, Man United and all that bullshit, if you know what I mean.
But I think that's as you said, like the more often than not, the myth that survives the decades and decades and decades is what people
Yeah.
remember. But the sort of the second you mix business interests into something like football, there's always going to be a kind of murky story there, and like we're seeing it at the moment, even today. Before we're recording, Sir Jim is considering yet more cuts at United, more redundancies at United. What do you think, John? Because I think like there was a little bit of hope, I think, about a year ago when Ineos took, people were kind of thinking maybe this is what the club needs, but it
Mm.
hasn't exactly been a honeymoon period, has it?
They've been terrible. They've been absolutely shocking. From that, I mean, got to be honest. After the cup final, nobody wanted Ten Hag sacked. Anyone who said they did after beating City, I don't think because it was just such an inspirational. It was a game, wasn't it? It was just, and so they bottled it. They didn't sack him.
Hmm.
I just think they totally bottled it. And everything just went worse and worse and worse. But I watched this guy, this Radcliffe. I mean, I'll probably never get a book in the United, in the United shop after this, but I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I don't trust that Brailsworth. I don't think the football people. I mean, the Glaze. I hate the Glaze. I've no time for the Glazers, but these
Yeah,
two, you don't sack 500 people when you've got players on 300 grand a week.
it's insane, isn't it? Insane.
Just the little things what he does. It's always the little people that get hurt who just think they can,
Yeah,
they can keep going at and going at. I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong.
it's it's alarming when you consider like that. Like even if you take that Ten Hag decision, that
Mm.
ended up costing them 10 million. They
Yeah.
then spent 11 million to get Ruben Amorim out of his contract in Portugal. And you're sitting here saying, well, there's 21 million that has been s- foolishly, wisely,
Without even,
whatever,
yeah. And
but
the
it's,
players they let him buy,
I
you
mean,
know.
Jesus Christ, the players, that's the bit that I like. Who or how did they sign off on some of the money spent on some? And I know, like, look, the spin in football is vulgar at the best of times anyway. And the second you attach Manchester United Football Club's name to it, probably tax. There's probably just
Yeah.
United
We've
tax on
got our own
that.
tax, haven't we? We've
Yeah.
definitely got our own
No,
tax,
but
but
like going back, even like I remember when David Moyes came in, as ill-fated as that was, and the Marouane Fellaini deal,
yeah.
and he had a minimum release clause that if United put the bid in, I can't remember the exact dates, but say it was before the 30th of August,
Yeah, I
it
remember.
would have only been this amount.
We
Moyes
put
did
it in the day after. Didn't
put it in the day after, so we end
we?
up paying millions more. So like it's stuff like that that's just been happening repeatedly.
My thought he was getting Fabregas, didn't he? Thought he was getting Fabregas in Barcelona.
Yeah, a
And
bit
then
like
he walked through the door. But
yeah.
to give him fair, I don't think he was our worst signing of over the since
Oh
the
no. Oh Jesus, no, no,
I
no. There's
thought he
been
saved
far worse
our
than him. Yeah, far
yeah,
worse
oh
than him.
we've
Who's next
yeah.
to that, John?
I think you're right though, John. Like I wasn't exactly a big Fellaini fan, but I mean, like he at least was putting the effort in, and you felt like he wanted to do better. You see
Yeah.
some of them lads now, and you're like, you're here for the payday. You're not like, it's just an inflated wage packet. You don't give a shit about the club or the fans. Or,
We'll try to get him out of the door, but it's like we've got him on a boomerang, innit? Because they go away, they set the piss on loan, they're still getting the money and they come like Rashford.
yeah.
If he's a Manchester lad, then you know what I mean. I'd say you'll never walk alone. I just can't believe the way what he's done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
I think he just fell out of football, fell out of love with football, mate. I think money corrupts, guys.
oh, like how can like young lads like in their early 20s be getting hundreds of thousands a week, and how do we
Yeah,
expect them not to
yeah.
lose motivation or to have stuff going on in their head? I mean, you're
Yeah.
making more money than you ever dreamed of, and
I
like
don't think United helps as well, guys, because they built him up into something. I think he was a good player. I think he's a very good player,
oh
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he wasn't good enough for the mantle he was given. And
No,
then they played him and played him and played him and just,
yeah, I think he had that one season where he was undeniable. Like that
yeah.
that that season there was 3 years ago, and he was brilliant. But I mean,
It is a gypsy curse, though, isn't it? Danny? It is. It's like we upset some gypsy from about 2000. He parked his caravan on Old Trafford forecourt. We made him move, and he just sprinkled something on it. And it's just shocking.
yeah, no, there's definitely something I miss all right now. I just and look,
But
there's no
if they
silver
get
bullet.
relegated, mate, you got to come and visit us in Bermuda, yeah. If I retire over there, I've got
Listen,
my money.
I'll be on the first connecting flight, whatever way I have to get there. Yeah,
Come over there.
absolutely.
We'll do this live. We'll do it
We
live with
will, yeah,
champagne and caviar.
yeah. We'll have to support whatever the local club is for you over there. Then, what do you think, John? Over like obviously it's a bit of a shit show, right? But
Yeah.
have you any hope at all for let's just say the next 5 years with United?
Yeah, I've got a lot of hope because I think this manager's the best we've had
Hmm.
since Ferguson. I like him, guys. I think he's a stubborn so and so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm with
It
you on
re-
that one.
it reminds me of a young Mourinho without, the actual arrogance. But I just think he's got something about him.
Yeah,
And when he heard like he launched the telly in the dressing room, I just think that's brilliant. That's what they need.
yeah, yeah.
Do you know
I
what I
think
mean?
so. But even the stance he took with Rashford, and
Yeah,
like if something is toxic, don't
yeah,
let it fester. And I
yeah,
think up until now, there's been too many like you said, they were just persistent with him because he was the great hope or he was whatever.
yeah,
But like this guy came in, just instantly saw how he trained and went,
yeah.
not on my team. No.
Do you remember the first game, lads? I think it was Ipswich. We went
Mm,
1-0 up. His face didn't even change. I mean, we went 1-0 up in the first minute. And he must have aged 10 years watching. He must have thought, what the have I got here? Do you know that you could see his face? It's like if you're a kid and you come
yeah,
down on Christmas morning, you haven't got any presents. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. It's like, what they give me here? And it's
yeah,
like, but I've got a lot of hope in this fella. I think he knows what's wrong.
yeah,
He knows what he's got to put right, and but we've got to stop signing left full, left wing backs and playing them on the right and that kind of thing. I don't,
Yeah.
but I do trust him. I do trust him to keep us up, Danny. What's it coming to keep us up?
I know when that's the conversation, we're not even talking about kind of qualifying for
Yeah,
Champions League. We're not qualifying. We're not talking about top four anymore. It's now
I
like
know.
literally this season is
It's
can we
like
just stay in the
tonight,
Premier League?
like we were saying, I want Liverpool to win tonight. That's what it's come to.
Well, it's 1-1 at the moment, John.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah,
I know.
Everton were 1-0 up and Liverpool scored in about 5 minutes later. So it's just 35 minutes gone, 1-1. People who are listening, this won't
Wow.
wait till the weekend. People listening to it will be like, oh, lovely, thanks. But yeah,
Yeah,
look,
I think the recruitment at United has been really poor. Like
yeah.
with the Rashford stuff, it's like he did have that 18, 19 league goal season, and then
Mm.
he just kind of fell off a cliff. And you're kind of going, did something happen there, or because I seen him making his debut for Villa the other night, and he was like a man possessed when he came on.
Looks sharp, doesn't
mm.
Yeah, yeah.
he?
But
He
he's
He has,
really
a, he
he's
has
is.
a
trying to win
point to
everything.
prove, but at the same time, it's like you were hearing those stories about him. There was that incident where he was in Belfast at a nightclub and like all this kind of stuff. And you're
Just
like,
making the wrong decisions, like.
yeah,
It's the people he's got around him as well, lads. I mean,
yeah,
that's an easy
yeah,
excuse, but I don't. It doesn't sound or look like he's got good people around him.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if he was waiting for Barcelona to come in and get him, which was the story, you know, it's like waiting for Spielberg to ring me for one of my books. It's just not going to happen. It's
But you never
not.
know if he has a good 4 or 5 months with Villa. I wouldn't be surprised if Barcelona did cut. Like if he
Yeah,
was to get just under 10 goals, February, March, April, May,
yeah.
like, they're still in the Champions League. I mean, or is he cup tied for the Champions League?
No, no, he can
No,
play.
no.
Yeah.
Like he could impress where he could get a move to Spain.
Well, I think we play them later on in the season. He could be the Denis Law of 2025, you know.
John,
I
don't start
know,
plotting
Danny, I
horror.
can't. I know.
Don't start plotting horror books, please, John.
Can we cut that bit
Yeah,
out? Can we cut that bit out? Yeah.
John Ludden enters the horror genre
Yeah.
of books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
John, do you ever
Stephen
there's
King can come up with
I
that
was
one.
gonna say be King, not
yeah.
Spielberg. That'd be
I
on you.
know.
Yeah.
I know.
John, I have seen you over the years tweet about music and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you written any books on musicians or music or bands in Manchester?
No. I did a play. I put a play on about Tony Wilson. I put loads of plays on around Manchester, but I did one about Tony Wilson when Madonna comes to the Hacienda in 1984, I think it was. So when do you know when she was first becoming big? And my play is like he meets her after the because she'd been on at the Hacienda, and he takes her on a tour of late night Manchester, and it's just them two. You know what I mean? It's like going all around, and he's telling her the history of Alan Turing and uh, just different parts of the city, and he's taking it in. Uh, Tony Wilson's one of my heroes, so it was an absolute privilege to do that. And the guy I had playing him was a guy called Graham Eaglesham. He's a voice coach, Scottish lad, and he got Tony off to an absolute. There was people there who'd worked with Tony, and they said it was like being in the same room. You know, the only thing was the language in the play. Every other word was effing this and effing that. You know, my mother was there. So at the end, like when I was sat there having a beer, my mum comes over and she sits down with us. She says, "Everybody seemed to enjoy it, John, but I think the language was just a little bit." I thought, "Oh, fucking hell."
Well, it was based in Manchester, so you gotta have a little.
Yeah, oh, it was
Yeah.
hard. It was,
Yeah.
you see what I'm doing now as well? I'm trying to get out of the United stuff. I've got a thing called
Mm.
12,500. What it is, it's a series of like short stories,
Okay.
which are like, the one I'm doing now is when Maradona met Castro in 87 once upon a time in Cuba. It's the first time he met him and they become real close. And the idea with these, like, they wrote as screenplays and then they're just adapted into short stories and put out there. And if there is any interest, Mr. Spielberg or whoever, it's there. You know what I mean? I've been unlucky, lads, the last 18 months because I had stuff going on in Los Angeles I've still got
Hmm.
something with one of the boxing books that I did about Johnny Owen. He was a famous Welsh fighter who was killed in the ring by a Mexican. No,
Hmm.
I don't mean shot. He was knocked out.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one of the something's going on there at the moment where it's being hounded around. And Once Upon a Time in Naples was very, very close to being made into a major movie. And then I can't talk about that for solicitors' reasons, but it never happened. So that hurt. But there's still a possibility something might happen, but you just never know. I mean,
That's it.
these
Don't,
days,
don't forget us.
no, oh, forget. But the way I look at it, Graham, it's just like one day at a time. Because everything can change on an email, everything can change on a tweet. You can get rich, you can get cancelled. You know what I mean? You just don't know.
That's it. And listen, John, Netflix are always looking for content. So
Oh,
listen,
yeah.
there's more avenues now than there ever was. So
That's
keep those
that's the
fingers crossed.
that's the thing. I mean, I've had the meetings, I've met the people, and everyone's oh, this is a great idea. This is going to work. This is just what we're looking for. Then you don't hear from them again. You know what I mean? So you just keep going.
That's all you can do. Yeah,
Just
it's a
never give
ruthless
up.
industry. So
Oh, it is. And everybody's trying so hard now because there's not a lot of money about, is there? And there's people getting laid off everywhere. And a lot of actors, so many actors out of work.
yeah, yeah,
Because if you watch it, guys, if you watch the major shows now, because you'll get the same as we do, like Kid, which was magnificent. But it's the same actors in all the big
yeah,
shows, like 5% and whatever. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's true. It is. It's there's something nice about a familiar face and someone that you like, but at the same time, it's kind of hard then for the young up and comers to kind of really break through.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I tell you what, you've got some of the best actors out there at the moment.
we're in a bit of a purple patch in Ireland. In fairness, there's a
Oh,
lot of them coming through now that are Barry Keoghan, Paul Mescal.
yeah.
I'm after forgetting the girl's name now. Who I watched Killian Murphy. Obviously is with the after winning the Oscar
He's
last year.
magical, isn't he?
He's
He's
brilliant.
magical, Killian.
Uh,
Kelly Condon, is it?
the no, it's not. Kelly Condren's amazing. She was
Yeah.
in a series years ago on BBC that was it was Ancient Rome, which was called Rome, and
Mm.
she played a character called Octavia. It was Augustus' sister, but it was fucking brilliant.
Rome was brilliant, wasn't it? It
It was a
was,
great show. Yeah, it was
yeah.
absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it was well done. Like, and
But there's a new Peaky Blinders movie coming into with Barry Keane and
yeah,
Killian's in that.
yeah. It's Peaky Blinders is a weird one for me because I watched the first four seasons of it and then
Mm.
like really enjoyed it, but I don't know why I just stopped watching. So I must go back to it and
It happens so, Danny Graham, because sometimes they just go on for too long. You just
Yeah.
yeah,
They
don't
don't know
get.
how to stop.
Yeah, they don't, do they? Because they keep getting the. I mean, The Sopranos. I love The Sopranos, lads,
Oh.
but I think that run out of gas towards the end. I think they all do.
Well, I mean, it wasn't The Sopranos, a season 6 or season 7. They didn't know whether they were going to go 12 episodes or
Yeah,
10. And I think the final series ended up going with 7 or 8 episodes.
I think the last episode they just decided we're not going to do any more, so they killed everybody, didn't they? So
Yeah.
everybody got seen off.
Did you watch the documentary with David Chase recently?
Yeah, brilliant.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I loved The Sopranos. I loved the ending.
Yeah,
I just loved every episode. And
every episode was like it was
a
like a mini
movie.
movie, wasn't it? It was like a
Yeah.
Scorsese short.
It was brilliant.
The one with the Russian in the woods when he loses his
Ah,
shit.
that's brilliant.
the
That is,
Czechoslovakian. Unbelievable.
oh, that's that telephone call when Paulie got it mixed up.
Yeah.
He was a Czechoslovakian painter and decorator or something, he
Yeah.
said. But
Unbelievable.
okay, and the
Listen,
Naples one, the Naples episode was stunning.
it was
Yeah.
just every episode was just amazing.
Yeah,
Even the character development in that was amazing.
yeah.
The guest actors that come in for the series and they build the character up and then they drop them down and just brilliant. Even Tony's uh stuff with the psychiatrist was just fantastic.
Ah, well,
You know,
I put when United play, I always put something out, like match day, and there's always like it's a scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something, where the big Indians sat with Jack Nicholson, and I put that out for last week, where Tony's sat with his psychiatrist, I can't remember the game, but I do know people, seriously, lads, who are really affected by this, with United.
Yeah.
Psychologically, it drives them nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a way,
drives
it
them
has a
nuts.
way of consuming you. It has a way of consuming
Yeah.
you. But John, we've taken up enough of your evening. If people want to check out the books, they can check them out, as you said, John Ludden, Google, and go on to Amazon. You can get them on the Kindle, lads, which makes it nice and handy for
Yeah.
you. Um, that's part one out. When is part two of A Walk Down Warwick Road coming?
Couple of days. No.
So it'll be
To
fairly
be honest,
immediate.
it was my birthday yesterday, and I've been told,
Happy birthday.
Happy
thank
birthday,
you.
John.
Thank you. So I got my hair cut this morning. I went to the barber. I said, "Take 10 years off me, Ram." And he said, "I'll have to cut your fucking head off if you don't take it." He's my mate, you know what I mean? He's my mate. But yeah,
So we won't leave it 2 years before you back on.
lads, honestly,
Yeah.
get hold of us anytime.
Love
Yeah.
it, man. We will indeed. We will indeed.
Get
And
hold of us.
if people are still on Twitter or whatever it's going by these days, they can get you there as well, can't they?
At John Ludds, yeah. At John
John
Ludds.
Ludds.
It's difficult on there now. I don't know whether he's changed the algorithms, but
Yeah, man.
it doesn't.
Yeah, it's a shit show.
Yeah,
Oh, mate,
you
yeah.
have to put hashtag vote Trump on all your tweets, even if they're nothing to do with Trump. That's how you drive the algorithm with Elon Musk, lads.
The world's going mad in it, lads. The world is literally
Yeah.
going mad.
It's upside down. It
It
is.
is. Truly is. In a world where United could be relegated and Liverpool could win the league,
Yeah.
an upside down world, it's the only way of explaining it. So,
Nigel
Then-
Farage will be our next Prime Minister. That's how weird
Oh,
things are going in.
Jesus.
John, stay clear of the horror. It's you're going to upset people.
You can see it happening. If you think of the worst possible, this comet that's apparently is coming.
Saw
Might
that
do
the
us
other
all a
day.
favour at this rate, but
I know where that's going to land. It's going.
I was reading it, kind of going, "Not now, please, not now."
No,
Yeah, give it a miss.
that's it. John, again, thanks so much for your time, man. Really
anytime,
appreciate it.
lads.
And as Mero said, we'll definitely leave it a lot less than 2 years before.
You look after yourselves, yeah?
We will,
Absolutely,
John.
mate.
Thank
too.
you.
You too. Mind yourself, and thanks again.
Yeah. See you later.
Great chat with John there. As always, a pleasure. Definitely won't leave it 2 years before we catch up with him again.
No, gentleman, he's just pissing out books all the time, isn't he?
Yeah, he has a knack for it, doesn't he? Like he has a brilliant way of just distilling and telling a story, which I quite enjoy. So
Yeah.
a pleasure, absolutely. But yeah, good to chat with him. Another good pod down. Great reaction to Dion Fanning last week. Thanks to people who reached out, and yeah, we always appreciate that. Always appreciate a bit of feedback. So thanks guys. But that's it for another week now. I'm off to eat a korma for my dinner. Mero's
Oh,
off
lovely.
to have a nice soy bowl.
Now I am in the hole.
Or rob some of Edie Mero's porridge. Depends what happens when he goes to the kitchen. But yeah, that's another one down. Graham.
I had fajitas before we recorded because I was lepping. So
I thought you said you were having them after.
No, I had them before. I was too hungry.
Gorgeous. How many fajitas would you polish off now?
I just had two. I made
Solid.
for me and Jenzer, and
Nice.
my mum will have 2 or 3. There might be some left for the lunch tomorrow.
When I've left over fajita filling, I tend to do it with a bit of rice. I don't bother with the wrap on day 2. Just do it as
Sometimes I do that as well, Danny.
Great. I love that. That's one of my little. I'm like, I couldn't be arsed doing the whole folding, the wrapping, and the.
What do you put into your fajitas?
But I'm a chicken man. Occasionally I'll have a beef fajita, but I'm more of a chicken man, right?
The steak strips in a vegeta are sensational. But like, what veg would you have?
Oh, so right. So peppers, a multitude of colour. Give me all the colour in the world of the peppers. Onions, a bit of chili, or a bit of jalapeno. Depend, fresh chili or jalapeno. It's one or the other.
Yeah. Mushrooms?
Sometimes.
Oh, see, I love mushrooms. I have mushrooms with everything, so.
Yeah, I put mushrooms on. Like mushroom on pizza is a big one for me. I love mushroom soup. I love like a creamy mushroom sauce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like chicken and mushroom vol au vents.
Oh, lovely. Jeez, I haven't had them. Did you have vol au vents at your wedding?
I think they might have been on the. Yeah, I think they might have been.
I think that was the last time I had vol au vents.
I think so. I think they were one of the. It was like that soup and something else, wasn't it? And then the main.
Yeah.
Can't remember to be honest, but anyway, yeah.
They survived the 90s. I haven't seen, they're not as popular as they used to be, Vol-au-vents.
Nah, but they're great. Do you know, right?
They're
So,
great, yeah. They do the job, like.
the way at Christmas all the supermarket chains do like the nibbles. You whack them in the oven, so when people come over, then
Yeah, yeah.
they do mini vol-au-vents, right?
Right.
Dunn stores. I'm gonna plug them because they're great. Uh, but they do just your regular chicken and mushroom ones, but then they also do another one, and I can't remember what flavor it is. I want to say it's Cajun, but it's not Cajun. Good Lord, man. Good
Really
Lord. Taste sensation.
unreal.
Yeah. So
Guys, I'm lepping again, Dan.
I go for the smoky barbecue Vegeta seasoning.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. We got a vegetable Vegeta mix, and it
Oh
was
yeah.
onions, red pepper, green pepper, yellow pepper.
Yeah.
But it also had spicy seasoning in it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a nice treat.
Love it.
I just
And
lobbed it in as well.
along with the smoky barbecue.
Yeah, yeah,
Love it. We should do a cooking
yeah.
channel.
Oh, geez, we'd be great at the content.
Unreal. You and I should start a cooking channel TikTok. And every so often we'll get some of our celebrity chef friends on and other culinary geniuses that we know in our life.
We had one celebrity chef friend that absolutely ghosted us. So let's not talk about him.
Oh, I forgot about that. Forgot
Yeah,
all about that.
absolute ghoster. Anyway, we won't
Listen,
go
Graham,
there.
we won't.
Yes.
Listen, if people want to listen to any of those previous episodes and listen back and try to figure out who we're talking about, go ahead. Be our guest. But if you want to, you can get them on Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Podcast Republic, Apple Podcasts, anywhere with the word podcast involved now. Just search WTS Pod. We're there. You can get us onto YouTube. You can ask Alexa to play us. You can get us out in Merrill's backyard. He plays it on loudspeaker for everyone to hear it 24/7. And look, lads, just, I'm off Twitter these days, but the podcast still is a Twitter account that Merrill's maintaining it. We're on Instagram. Wherever. Find us. Send us a pigeon. Carrier pigeon. Telegram. Whatever you want. You'll find us.
Yes.
We're out there. Anyway,
Perfect. Clear eyes.
full hearts.
Can't lose.
Too sweet.